Hi everyone. This video is a few months overdue. I regret that I'm just now making this. Any of you who've kept up with me for any amount of time over the past few months have seen me transition from a place of, honeybee and pollinator education and honeybee removals into now um, almost a spam account for this stuff called living water. And I want to tell you guys why I've undergone that transition. So this is my why video, my why behind my what. Um, and my why is my story. So I'm gonna tell you my story. Um, Back when I was 26, I just awoke one morning and I noticed I was starting to feel real bad and started getting real sick. I thought initially that these were food poisoning symptoms. We all know what those are like, so I won't go into details. But unfortunately, this continued for weeks and even to a couple months. Then I started getting severe abdominal pain. It got so bad to where, unfortunately, there were a few times, witnessed events even, where these pangs would hit me um, and they would literally bring me to my knees. The pain was so extreme, the pain was so severe, I couldn't even breathe. Um, it would rack my entire body. I would just say I would get pale and flushed. I'd start profusely sweating. My eyes would well up with tears. I could not even breathe when these pains hit. It felt like there had been a dagger plunged straight into my stomach. Um, at this point, I was like, I'm starting to get scared. What in the world is going on? Um, and then, unfortunately, it got even worse. It evolved now into not just having food poisoning symptoms and uncontrollable diarrhea to now I'm seeing blood. Go to the restroom, and there's a lot of blood, a concerning amount of blood. I'm not talking hemorrhoid bleeding, I'm talking GI bleeding. Dark red blood and bright red blood, indicating that I had an upper and a lower GI bleed somewhere. And working in the medical field, I'm like, something's bad wrong. And so I finally break down and go to see my doctor, a couple specialists. They run tests. They're like, oh, you have a bacterial parasite. You've had one before. I did contract a bacterial parasite in the Dominican Republic a few years prior, so they thought maybe just a small colony. I just survived the last time that I had done some antibiotics, and I thought maybe, yeah, it just resurfaced. So I was given another course of broad spectrum antibiotics. Unfortunately, those pushed me over the edge. Um, those wiped out everything left in my body that was fighting what I was getting sick with. Um, Now, when I go to the restroom after these antibiotics, I'm only passing blood, projectile amounts of blood. Um, just the most painful, racking pain that I've ever experienced. I'm constantly in the bathroom. I'm working in Athens at a 911 service, which is not good when you work in an ambulance. You can't stay out of the bathroom. Someone calls 911, have an emergency. I can't get out of the bathroom. Um, and unfortunately, it continued to spread. The sickness spread to my head, my scalp, my face. On my head, I started getting like psoriasis and eczema. Behind my ears, the skin would get so dry that it would split and crack, and I would bleed, and plasma would weep out. If anything touched my ear, it was extremely painful. I couldn't even take a shower. On my face, I would get these boils and cystic acne that if I even touched the area around the cyst, it would be extremely painful. Bring tears to my eyes. It was so painful. I started getting a lot of joint pain. I was losing a lot of my muscle mass. I was literally shriveling up. My stomach became distended, and swollen, and painful. No energy, not any energy. I was literally so lethargic that I couldn't do anything. I didn't even want to ever do anything. I never left the house unless it was to go to work. So it was the epitome of misery, and I was so lost at what was going on. My doctors were too. No amount of swabbing, no blood tests would reveal anything. My doctor finally said, "You've got to get a colonoscopy." So I go and I have the procedure done. When I awake from the procedure, the doctor walks in and said, "Mr. Foster, your colon is almost swollen shut." He even held his hands up like this. And he said, "Your colon should be, a dilated, a tunnel essentially." He said that mine was almost swollen shut. And what had happened was, um, my lower GI tract and colon had become so inflamed and so swollen that there were lacerations and almost like avulsions where my intestines had ruptured, and that's where I was bleeding from. So then he proceeds to tell me that I have an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis. Um, Essentially, my immune system is trying to kill and shut down my lower GI tract, especially the colon. And then he proceeded to tell me that there's no cure, that lifestyle and dietary changes would have no bearing and they would not help because there is no cure. So take these medications. He handed me a script, go get filled for a couple medications. He said, "You need to take these every single day, forever." And he said, "There's a good chance eventually these pills are going to stop working. Then you'll have to swap to a different medication. Those may stop working. We might put you on, biologics. Those may not help. So then we'll have to put you on infusions. If those don't help, we're going to have to take your colon away." Literally, they're going to have to go in and remove my colon, and I would have to have an ostomy bag placed. That's the only cure for my condition. So here I am, a 26-year-old single man, sick as a dog, in complete and total misery. And now, to make things worse, I'm being told I have an incurable disease that may end up resulting in me losing my colon and pooping in a bag. So now my mind is racing. My thoughts are heavy. They're dark. I'm thinking, no one's ever going to want to be with me. No one's ever going to want to marry me, have kids with me, because I'm disgusting. I'm gross. I have an incurable, nasty disease. And I was so embarrassed and I was so ashamed. And I kept that to myself. And it just festered in my heart. And as I got sicker and sicker because the medications weren't helping. So now I'm faced with changing medications or going to infusions or losing my colon. So that cycle continued, and my anxiety, my fear, my depression became so prominent and heavy in my life, I even considered taking my own life because I didn't like the future that I had to look forward to. That's how sick and tired and fed up I was. I finally made a gripe post on Facebook where I essentially complained about my suffering. Until then, no one had ever known that I was sick because I was ashamed to talk about it. I don't want anyone to know that I was sick. But a friend from church saw my post. She hit me up. I told her my story. She said, "Come to my home. I want you to try something." And I had tried everything pretty much. I had essentially just lost all hope. So I'm like, what the heck? I'll humor her. So, but I was doubtful. Working in the medical community, I understood my disease. I had read some books about it. I understood why I was sick, but I knew that there were no cures. So I'm like, this isn't going to help. But I went anyway. So she gave me 4 or 5 glasses of this stuff. And I drank those in her kitchen. She gave me 3 or 4 gallons worth, sent me home. Within 12 hours, I woke the next morning to get up to go to work. I went to use the restroom, and for the first time in 2 years, there was no blood. Not even a drop. Almost sat there and wept in the restroom because there was no blood. And I also noticed there was almost no pain. So I drank the water, went back twice more, and she filled me up. Eventually I was on the strong stuff. She said, keep drinking it, avoid the soft drinks, avoid the energy drinks. Just keep drinking this and trust me. I think this is going to help you. Literally within a week, my abdominal pain was gone. My stomach distension had gone down. I was able to use the restroom without any pain or discomfort. And again, my bleeding was gone. Fast forward a few months later, it's now November the 30th, 2023. I have not touched a prescription medication or any medication given to me or prescribed to me by a doctor. and I have no symptoms of autoimmunity. My psoriasis, eczema, acne, joint pain, lethargy, malaise, GI issues, gone. They're all gone. And all I've been doing is drinking this. And I've been off all my medications since August 28th. Haven't touched anything. Just drinking this. This is the only lifestyle change I've made. And I've never felt better. I've lost 28 pounds. I have energy that's through the roof. I'm essentially cured. I can't make medical claims because I'm not a doctor, nor do I want to give anyone any false hope. But this is my reality. My incurable autoimmune disease is gone, and every symptom associated is gone. That's why I share this water with people. That's why I post about it every single day. It's changed my life. How selfish would I be if I kept this to myself? So, this is my calling now. This is why I do what I do. This is my why. My story is my why, because people deserve to know. There are people right now in my own life who I know who are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they live in this rut of misery where they're simply masking their symptoms. They're putting a blanket over their sickness and just trying to control the symptoms but not actually get to the root of the problem and treat the disease itself or the sickness itself. So that's my why. I hope that it helps someone find some semblance of hope. I hope that it encourages someone, because that's ultimately why I tell my story. Because I was like everyone else at some point with any sort of, incurable sickness, incurable disease. I've been there, and now I have a future to look forward to without that. So I encourage you to reach out to me if you want to know anything else about this, because this is my joy. This is why I do what I do. So I love you guys. You have a blessed day. God bless.